welcome back to another video. I'm super excited for today's video. We're going to be using a ton of new makeup, but before we jump into today's video, I did want to talk a little bit about Dossier. If you guys are not familiar, Dossier is basically a perfume brand. So they create affordable fragrances inspired by your favorite luxury perfumes, colognes. You guys, they have it all. They're super amazing. So I do have 2 scents today to share with you guys. So if you decide to shop Dossier, when you get your package in the mail, this is what it looks like right here. It comes in this cute little box, and then when you actually open up the box, your fragrance is obviously inside, but you also do receive like this little information card. So this card basically tells you exactly what fragrance this was inspired by. So this one is called Oriental Oak Moss, I think that's how you pronounce it, and this one is actually inspired by Chanel's Coco Mademoiselle, which is a super popular perfume if you guys are not familiar. And just opening the box right now, I can smell it. It smells divine. Also on this card, you will see that they have their mission statement and also how it works. So I did want to give you guys an update. You guys already know I've talked about Dossier a couple of times. So this is what your order will look like. So it comes with a full-size bottle and this little sample tube. And basically the reason why you get the sample tube is so that way you can sample the fragrance before you open up the full size. In case you don't like it, you get your money back. You ship it right back to them. It just didn't work out. No questions asked. You get a full refund. Now, I did want to just update you guys that Dossier will no longer be sending your fragrances with those tiny sample bottles. At this point, it's just such a waste of plastic, and I'm so happy that they're getting rid of those samples. However, no fear, you will still be able to try your scent before committing to it. So you can actually open up the full-size bottle now and try it out, see if you like it. If you don't, of course, you can go ahead and just return it to Dossier and they will still give you your full refund. So I did just want to mention that in case you guys do decide to place an order and you receive it and you realize that it doesn't come with a little sample size to try. They're not going to be doing that anymore. So some orders will have them, some will not, because they're kind of just phasing them out little by little. So I just wanted to give you guys that quick update. The second fragrance I decided to pick up is inspired by one of my all-time favorite fragrances. You guys, I always have this fragrance on hand, and this is called Fruity Magnolia, and this one is actually inspired by Versace's Bright Crystal. I feel like everyone loves that perfume. If you are a fan of it, I'm telling you, this one smells identical. You would not even be able to tell the difference. So I did pick up those 2 fragrances. I'm super excited to be working with them in today's video. I'm going to go ahead and leave the link to Dossier down below in case you guys are interested. I'm telling you, it is the perfect time to shop Dossier, especially because Mother's Day is coming. So I know we're all on a budget right now, and I feel like this would be such a perfect Mother's Day gift. So make sure that you guys check the link down below for all the details. Alright you guys, so like I said, in today's video, we're going to get into this look. I used a ton of new makeup that you guys actually recently seen me haul in my part 1 of my Sephora haul. You guys, were using the Rare Beauty Pore Primer today, as well as the Kosas Bronzer, the Kosas Setting Powder. I'm also using the DANESSA MYRICKS Cream Bronzer, which I cannot wait for you guys to see how creamy and buttery that formula is. I'm also wearing her highlighter palette. It is beaming. It's so beautiful. So we have a ton of new stuff to try out today. I'm also wearing a brand new eyeshadow palette, and it's actually this one right here. This is the Tie-Dye palette in collaboration with Bianca. This palette is created by Hank and Henry. That's the brand. So this is what it looks like right here. When you open it up, of course, it's a beautiful, colorful eyeshadow palette. You guys, when I seen this palette, I was like, wow, I definitely need to try it. Formula wasn't my absolute fave, to be honest. It was a little bit difficult to work with. I feel like the shadows are just a little dry. But I mean, overall, the look came out really pretty. So I'm excited to show you guys how I created it. So we're going to go ahead and jump into today's video. Before we jump in, please don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you guys have not already. And of course, without further ado, if you guys would like to see how I created this makeup look right here, and you guys want to see all these new products in action, then just keep on watching. Guys, so So I already prepped my eyelid off camera with my P. Louise base, so we're jumping straight into eyeshadow today. Like I told you guys in the intro, this is the tie-dye palette from the brand Hank & Henry in collaboration with Bianca. So beautiful. I love the layout. I love the packaging. It is so gorgeous. So the first shade that I'm going to be using is the shade called Spooky. It's the really beautiful deep purple shade in the palette. Now, although I love me some purple, I do have to say that this color was so hard to pack on, you guys. Like, I don't know if it was just me. I definitely want to give this palette another shot, but this shade in particular was just extremely dry. I don't know like how to describe it, but the formula was very tough, so it was really hard for me to pack on. Usually I use this brush and I'm able to pack on my shadow with no problem, but with this specific shade, as you guys can see, I had to go in with like a flat packing brush to really get that intensity that I was looking for. I mean, it did build up really nicely. As you guys can see, it's a beautiful, beautiful purple, but in my opinion, it did take a lot of building. So moving on to the next shade in the palette, I'm going to be going into the shade called Barney. It's a super pretty light purple, as you guys can see here, and this color was stunning, okay? The formula was like night and day from that dark purple to this lighter one. This purple was super, super pigmented. It was so soft and buttery, and it blended really well. I was having trouble at this point because I was using that lighter purple to go ahead and blend out the edges of the darker purple, but as you guys can see, because that purple was so dry and tough to blend, it was just not blending. It took me a hot minute to actually blend these two colors together, but of course I just stood blending, trusted the process, and it all worked out. So to deepen up the eye look, I'm actually going to go into the black eyeshadow in the palette, and that one is the shade Cookie. And you guys, this is probably one of the most pigmented black eyeshadows I've ever used. It is so pigmented, but it blended so well. So that's where I'm like, there's some hits in this palette and some misses as well, but this shade was definitely a hit. It was so beautiful, and as you guys can see, the black shade basically just intensified that purple, so it almost turned into like this blackberry kind of color. It was so beautiful, and as you guys can see, it was literally effortless. It blended so well. So I added on the black, and then I added a little bit more of the darker purple. I also did go back in with that fluffier blending brush just to add some of that light purple back into the crease up towards the brow bone. And you guys, honestly, that was basically it for now. So what I'm gonna do next is actually go ahead and clean up my lid space, and I'm just using a Q-tip to do this, as well as some Garnier micellar water as always. And this just helps so that way when I go in and do my cut crease, it's super easy because I already have that guideline. So I did go ahead and cut my crease off camera just to save us some time. So now let's go ahead and move on to the lid shades. So the first shade that I'm using and I'm actually going to pack on is the color called Babe. It's a beautiful, like, bright, not even bright, it's more like a pastel, like Tiffany blue. You guys, it is so pretty, such a gorgeous color, and I was pleasantly surprised at how pigmented the shade was. So right now I'm not focusing on making it look super blended, super neat. I'm just laying down all the shades so that way I know exactly where I'm putting them, and then I'll go back and forth in between each shade and start to basically just blend them together. So I'm starting off with that blue shade, as you guys can see here, and then I'm actually going to go in with the purple, and as you guys can see, even here the purple was just not showing up. Like, even with the blank canvas, it was just so difficult to pack on. I don't know what was happening with that darker purple, so I was like, you know what, forget about that, let me go in with just the black eyeshadow. So I went back into the shade Cookie and just intensified that outer corner, because at this point I was just over it and I was just trying to get this look done. So that's what I'm doing here, and then I did go in with a little bit more of the deeper purple just to kind of mix the black and the purple together. And then also in between the blue and the purple, I did go in with the shade LA, which is a really pretty blue as well, and I just put that right in the middle of those two shades. I feel like the purple and the lighter blue wouldn't have meshed well together, so I needed something in between. So now that I have everything pretty much laid down, I know where everything is going. Now I'm basically just focusing on really covering up that lid entirely, and then of course just blending each of the shades together. So this does take a lot of time. You are trying to mix colors together, make it look really seamless and blended. I really did try my best, and I was literally over it, you guys. Like, I feel like this palette was a little bit difficult to work with, but here's where we are. So I'm not worrying about the outer corner right now. We'll do that after foundation. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and apply a black liner just to the base of my lashes. This is just so that way when I apply my false lashes, everything looks really nice and black and intense near the lash line, and you can't see any of the shadow through my falsies. So to go ahead and apply mascara, I'm actually going to be using the Air Volume from L'Oreal. I have been raving about this mascara. It is so good, you guys. I absolutely love it. It's been my go-to. It's bomb. So I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a good coat of this, and then I applied my falsies off camera. These are the falsies right here. So let's go ahead and move on to the face makeup. So for primer, I'm going to be using the Always an Optimist Pore Diffusing Primer. This is a new one by Rare Beauty. You guys, I really enjoyed this. I like it a lot. It gives me that smoothing effect but doesn't have that silicone feel. I really enjoyed it. It was very nice, and I also feel like it was even a little bit hydrating, so definitely love that. For foundation, I'm going in with the Hard Candy GLAMOFLAUGE foundation. I know I've been using this foundation in like every single video, but honestly, you guys, I just cannot put it down. It is just incredible to me how affordable this foundation is. By the way, I got mine at Walmart, and this is the shade Olive. Like, the coverage is insane. It looks so smoothing on the skin, and the combo of this and the Rare Beauty primer was a match made in heaven. My skin looked so good. And to actually blend out the foundation, I'm using the e.l.f. Duo brush. You guys, I've been loving this brush. It is so good. It's my go-to foundation brush. I don't even remember the last time I used a beauty blender to blend out my foundation. Like, all I've been using is this brush. It is so bomb. And it leaves no brush strokes in my foundation either, so we definitely love that. And this color match is perfect for me. So I went ahead and applied foundation, and then for cream bronzer today, we're actually going to be using the DANESSA MYRICKS cream bronzer. This right here is so good. This one is in the shade Light. You guys, the formula on this is incredible. It was so blendable. This is probably the easiest cream bronzer I've ever used, and I've used quite a bit at this point. You guys, it was absolutely stunning. The color was perfection, and look at how easy it was. Like, I was barely touching my skin, no swiping, just patting it on. It was stunning. I am so obsessed with this. Like, this thing was bomb. Like, I'm so excited to actually try some more of her stuff because I was so impressed with this, and I was able to build it up as well to the intensity that I wanted. So definitely recommend. And then for concealer, I'm using the GLAMOFLAUGE concealer from Hard Candy. They actually just launched this, and this is actually really nice. It wasn't the most full coverage concealer I ever used, but it was pretty, especially for it being a drugstore concealer. It definitely got the job done. I won't say it's my favorite. I definitely have to try it a few more times, but it definitely did what it was supposed to, and it concealed my under eyes really well and definitely gave me that really nice brightened effect. And I did go ahead and blend this out with a sponge. This sponge here is from Colored Rain. I've been obsessed with their sponges. They are so good. So I went ahead and did that, and this shade was a little bit too light for me actually. I did use the shade, what shade is this? That's the shade 1990 Warm Light. It was a little bit too light for me, but I made it work for sure. So moving on to cream blush, I'm going to be using the new Melt Cosmetics Cream Blush Light. This one right here is in the shade Honey Thief. You guys, so beautiful. Again, this is another product that had such a beautiful formula. It's definitely something that if you wanted it to be nice and sheer and natural, it can be that. But also if you wanted to build it up, you can do that as well. This also did have a scent, and while I was applying it to my skin, I was like, is this blush that smells like that? It smells really nice and almost like sweet, but it's nothing overpowering. So this was really beautiful. I really enjoyed it, and I also applied this with my Fenty Beauty face brush, and it applied really well, and it did not skip or get patchy. It was stunning. I really did enjoy it. So now that we have all our cream products on, it's time to set with some powder. I'm going to be using the new Sephora Collection Translucent Setting Powder. You guys, this was such a nice powder. Like, this was such a win for today's video. All the stuff that I tried, I pretty much liked almost all of it. So this, as you guys can see, is a colorless powder. It's not a brightening powder like my Collab Set the Stage powder. It's not something that's going to enhance your concealer. It's something that's just going to set it in place so you do not get any creasing. So I really did enjoy it. As you guys can see, it doesn't even look like I'm applying anything to my under eyes because it literally had no color. It was definitely translucent, and I really did love it. It looked beautiful, and my under eyes looked so smooth. So to set the rest of my face, I'm using the Kosas Cloud Set Setting Powder. This one right here is in the shade Feathery. This was another product that that you do not feel on the skin. You don't even see yourself applying it. Like, it literally is invisible, you guys. I'm not even kidding. But my skin looked so airbrushed and so flawless, and it did not cake up. It was just so nice. I was very, very impressed by this. So for bronzer, I also wanted to use the Kosas moisturizing bronzer. I got mine in the shade medium. Now, I was not expecting this to be as pigmented as it was. This is the shade right here. It does have a little bit of shimmer, but not glitter. It's very beautiful. But as you guys can see, she was pigmented, okay? This color is beautiful. It's the perfect amount of warmth in a bronzer that I look for. It definitely reminds me of my MAC Dark Tan, and I am obsessed, okay? I feel like something about baked products, it just looks so smooth on the skin, and this bronzer, honey, was it. So for blush, I'm using this Hank & Henry blush palette. Super pretty. I'm just using the pinky shade right up at the top. Nothing fancy, you guys. This actually did not blow my mind whatsoever. The shade was pretty. It did blend well. I didn't have any issues, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, you need to go out and buy it right now. But it was definitely very pretty. So I just applied that to my cheeks as well as my nose, because of course we gotta add some blush on the nose. And so far so good. The skin was looking amazing for today's video. So now for highlight, I'm using the DANESSA MYRICKS Light Work 1 highlighter palette. I'm going to go in with that more champagne gold color. This was so beautiful. This is one of those highlighters that really melt into the skin and just beam once the light hits your cheeks. It is so beautiful. I was obsessed. So I literally drenched my face in it, and now we can move on to the lower lash line. So I did go back in with the shade Spooky on a super flat definer brush and packed it really, really close to my lower lash line. And then I went in with a more fluffy brush to take a little bit of the shade Mama's mixed with Barney, which are the two other purples, and just diffuse those. And then of course, to add some intensity, I went back in with the shade Cookie, which is just the black eyeshadow in the palette. And that was basically it. Very, very simple and easy. I also didn't get a clip of me applying some of the white, but I did go in with the shade Coconut just right in my inner corner just to brighten up that area. So for my waterline, I'm going in with two of the Neon Shockwave liners from LA Girl. This first one that I'm using is the darker blue, and that one is the shade Electric. And I applied this one first because obviously it's the darker blue, but I felt like I wanted the waterline to really pop, especially against the dark eye look that we had going on. So I did go over top of that with the shade Fresh, and it just brought the waterline to life. It was so beautiful. Such a gorgeous, gorgeous combo. And you guys, this usually with like eyeliners, I don't know why I pause so awkwardly like that, but usually with eyeliners, like when you put on another one, it kind of takes off the one that's already on your waterline. That did not happen, so just want to put it out there. So now what I'm going to do is work on the outer portion of my eye. So I'm starting off with that lighter purple, of course, and I'm basically just dragging every single shade out towards the tail of my brow, but I'm always going back over with the lightest purple because you want it to diffuse from super dark and intense to very light and almost barely there. That's how you're going to get that really beautiful ombre effect. So in a nutshell, that's basically all that I'm doing. So now as you guys can see here, I'm going in with the most intense shade, which is that black, but then I also went in with that darker purple, which is Spooky, just to make sure everything was really nice and blended. And this does take a little bit of time because this is definitely personal preference, so take your time, try not to build too fast. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and set everything in place. I'm going to be using the e.l.f. and Jen Atkins mist. You guys, this setting mist is so pretty. It really reminds me of the Coconut Dewy Mist from e.l.f. So beautiful. I also did not show my lip combo, but it's going to be down below in the description box if you guys are interested. And yeah, this is how the look turned out. So I'm actually pleased with the look. Like I said, the only thing that really was not one of my favorites was definitely the eyeshadow palette, but I do want to give it another shot. It's such an eye-catching palette, and I definitely want to use some of the other shades. So that basically completes this look. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Down below, let me know what you think about today's look. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.